and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for a new episode of A New Go of New Home Sales. I'm your host, Anya Chrysanthemum, and today we have a repeating guest on the show, Sneha Kumari. Sneha is the founder of a new AI ERP system that's called Merlin AI. So welcome to the show, Sneha. I'm so excited to have you back on.
Thank you so much for having me again. It's amazing to be back here and be talking to you. I am really looking forward to it, excited, and thank you everyone for joining in.
So, since last time we spoke, you've been busy starting a whole new company. For those listeners who may not know who you are, let's take us down a little history lane and tell us about your background and what is it that you do now?
Yeah, for sure. I have to start with my journey actually started in manufacturing. So I have been doing operational excellence, Six Sigma, and all these cool stuff for cool and cool, depending on where you are at and how do you like it, for the longest time, right? 12 plus years of experience. And then my actually introduction to construction happened in the prefab modular world. I was doing a lot of operational efficiency, unlocking productivity, working with a lot of ERPs. And really, like when I started taking some small projects, consulting projects where I was helping companies lay their value stream map, lay understanding where the bursts are, our points of waste are, what can be done. And that's where I believe like even the prefab manufacturers or the panelization companies, and they were like, okay, we need more manufacturing talent coming in and probably talking to us more about lean, what can be done better here, how we can employ some of those methods of construction. And that's where the journey began. And since I was working in this industry, I've worked with pretty much every big enterprise software to vanilla enterprises software that you can think about. I have probably touched that in some way or the other. So I was actually by SourceJ nominated one of the top 40 women to follow in the space of ERP, which is crazy. But anyways, yeah. So that's how much I know about the space. And one thing that I like when I moved to this side of the world from manufacturing to construction, one thing that I realized was none of these enterprise softwares were really built for construction. Like we were trying to bring NetSuite over to this world. We were trying to bring Dynamics to this world. We are trying to bring Acumatica, but let's face it, none of this was built for construction. Yes, you are spending money with consultants who come in and install this for you, tailor it. It can take you months. It's a pretty expensive affair, let's all face it. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of advancements that's been done on the point solution side. Like you have an amazing operation system, an amazing PM system, or an amazing financial system, but there's nothing that brings the whole picture together, right? You still need Excel and a person to bring all the data and then bring that view for you on a project level and at a company level. So I think that was pretty prominent. It just kept coming back to me as I kept doing more projects, and I kept working with more companies. And that's exactly why I was like, okay, enough of this. Let's stop it. Not to say that manufacturing side of ERPs are the best. They are not. They're still a system of record. They're still antiquated. They're still notoriously complex. Do not work out of the box, right? So I was like, okay, let me do this. Let me go ahead and change the landscape here. And that's exactly how this whole product came into being, where we are AI powered ERP for construction. So, of course, hopped on the AI bandwagon. The time is perfect. The time is now. And we are no more questioning the concept like if. The question that we need to answer now is when, because we have to, this is something that everyone will have to use it, that everyone will all the business owners, home builders will have to leverage. It's just a matter of time when.
Absolutely. Before you and I started recording, I told you that recently I was meeting with several clients of ours, and the conversation got to ERPs, and literally everyone looked around the room and said, "Do you love your ERP? Please tell me you don't hate your ERP." And it was one person who's ours is okay, but the rest were really not happy with their ERP. So talk us through what is different with your ERP system from the traditional ERP systems that we have out there, specifically in the construction world.
To be honest, for all the ERP lovers out there, hate me if you want to, no problem, totally judge me. I think this whole word is a misnomer. Like we started it, I'm sorry to say, but it's stuck in the 90s, if not 80s, if you don't want to believe me, because we talked about resource planning. Ultimately, what you are looking at is a vertical system. right? A vertical system that has every single functionality built into it, and you're able to go deep as possible. And that's where we come in, right? We are a vertical AI system. I have to open this up by saying that AI is the center and the brain of everything that we are doing. So AI sits in the middle. If you think of a circle, AI is the dot in the middle, and it literally powers every single module that we have built. And I think we have an advantage because we are starting. We literally have been a year, that's it, probably lesser. And the kind of course, the passion is there, but a lot of experimentation and building it the first time, right? Like, no, everything that exists today in the market are going to join this whole journey, but it'll be different. It'll be like you already have something and you're trying to retrofit AI into it. We are starting as native, like we are a native AI product. So that's how we are different. I at some point do believe that we need to change the whole landscape of how we even see the whole enterprise world, right? It's how do we see enterprise softwares? We have always seen them as a system of records, but it doesn't have to stay there. It can do so much more than just being a system of record, right? We have done a great job of moving people from Excel to dashboards, I would say, from with the existing companies. We need more intelligent software coming our way that is seamless, but also simple. Let's face it, we are home builders. We are here to build homes, not to sit here and probably learn another software that was supposed to actually make my life easier in the first place, right? And that's exactly what the state of ERP is. Now, coming back to how we are different, as I said, we are AI first, right? And there are many things that are different, and I'm just gonna touch a little bit. Like, there are many different construction work that we are addressing and going deep in all of those functionalities. So starting from project estimation to how that flows, that whole project estimate becomes the bedrock of the budget of the project that you're building. And then how does on-site, off-site operations interact? Your whole entire digital twin of your on-site footprint sits on our product, right? We have our own algorithms running, telling you exactly how you are making decisions. How do you maximize on your capacity on people and on labor, but also your availability, how efficient you are. And of course, how do you scale from where you are at? We are definitely way more affordable, quicker deployments. We do not come with a gamut of consultants who you would need to install us in your companies. Not only just focusing on project management or just procurement or just purchasing or just estimating. We have everything and every single thing from estimating to financial tracking, minimizing, actually literally eliminating all your manual inputs, but you being able to see a picture. For example, if I was running a project right from when I estimated it to seeing what happens in my budget, did I overrun my MEP quota? That's the power. That's what you need. You should not be going back to Excel to figure that out, and probably with 2 days of stale data. That's, I would say, from a very layman terms, that's how we are disrupting it. There's a lot of AI capabilities. I'm sure we'll talk about it eventually in this interview, but very layman terms, you should be able to see where you're making money, where you're not, and strategically what you should be doing differently next time when you bring a similar project.
Love that. So you mentioned the idea of having a digital twin, and I'd love to come back to that in a second. But first, I know that you're started by going after prefab and manufactured homes, which makes sense with your background. But is there any reason why you went specifically after that market? And do you plan on expanding to stick builds?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We actually already started working with some of the general contractors who are not in love with one of the famous softwares that we have there. I'm not going to name them. But, anyways, the focus on MMCs, modern method of construction, actually, particularly modular manufactured, was driven by, of course, as you said, my background. So it's easier. You already have a name, a brand established, right? But there are several critical industry challenges also, right? We are observing severe labor shortage, right? Difficulty attracting new talent, right? MMCs allows us to shift so much more of the construction process into a controlled factory environment. I come from manufacturing. Factory is my thing. I'm the girl wearing hard hats and the boots and walking the floor and literally running a shop floor. I've done that, right? And so I can connect with it so much. I could connect with it so much more, and the value that it brings in maintaining consistent quality while reducing your dependence on the scarce skilled labor that we are already seeing, right? And We have unprecedented pressure on housing affordability right now across markets, right? And by leveraging some of these manufacturing principles in construction, we can totally reduce build times and also achieve economies of scale to address some of these challenges without compromising quality, right? Again, environmental impact is crucial. You can be so much more conscious about the materials you're using and very precise with what kind of materials you're ordering. And again, controlled manufacturing. Site conditions is also a big deal, by the way, with construction, with traditional construction. So, anyways, the point is there were so many attractive benefits of starting with MNCs, and it just fit so seamlessly on how we will change this landscape so much more. So while modular and manufactured homes are already focused on improving efficiencies and being able to optimize on your productivity, we come in and actually only augment and reinforce that fact by optimizing, say, your manufacturing efficiency, your predicting your potential issues before even they occur, right? You need that. Being able to maintain better quality standards through our QA/QC modules, right? And automate all of these processes. And the results that we are seeing with our implementation is only validating this focus, the cost savings you're able to achieve by just being able to manage the project in one place. You don't need 3, 4 different screens to manage 4 different softwares to do that. Being able to complete a project faster because you're able to foresee issues faster. I just take this example. If you have a change control happen, a lot of times that happens. But because I'm learning, because I have ML involved, because I am using these models, I'm able to actually tell you that, hey, when you build a similar project, same square foot size, I should be able to tell you that, by the way, that panel actually had a change control last time. You would typically for sure forget it, even if you managed and tracked that change control on Excel. If you have an assistant that keeps track of that, tells you and how you being able to address that ahead of time the next time so you don't repeat those mistakes. I think those small things is something that is making us more powerful than what's out there.
Mm-hmm. So I know one of the biggest headaches for current ERPs is connecting with other software, right? API, it's like non-existent because maybe they were built back in a different era. That wasn't the case. I know when a new go tries to connect to ERPs, we usually have a really hard time. And so we typically have to like export data out of the ERP into a spreadsheet and ingest it essentially in order to make sense of the data. So talk to me about how do you connect with other software? I assume that's probably a much easier process.
Yeah, we are, as I said, like we are a modern software. So connecting to us is never a problem. Us connecting to the traditional softwares, as you mentioned, is something that we are constantly exploring. So we already we have integrations with Sage and QuickBooks and some of likes of that, like Autodesk and things like that. We have to. We are not trying, for example, we are not trying to be a design software. So I have to connect with the whole BIM modeling software. So I'm able to take that data and then read and write. Ultimately, my goal is to take our users, minimize the manual effort to the extent possible. I often say that Excel is a glue for bad softwares to talk to each other. That's what Excel is. I often say that. And we want to eliminate that. Have we been able to do that in a small way with our current customers? Yes. Can I do more of this? Yes, of course. Don't get me wrong, I've used Excel all my life, but I also believe that when you are in the space of softwares, Excel is that glue to build, to keep all these bad softwares together. And so we want to eliminate that. Now, a lot of time, it's so funny, Anya. I used to talk to some companies and they would talk about integrations and yeah, we do have integrations. Okay, great. And so and you know what those integrations meant was, oh, I will download my data from this software and then I have to upload. That's not integration.
Right.
That's not what we call integration. So I think the whole concept was skewed for a long time. As I say, when I am connecting to QuickBooks, I'm saying it's hands free. I read and write to QuickBooks. I read and write to Sage, or I read and write to this XYZ software. So you are not sitting there and actually trying to figure out what to download and when to upload and where do we upload. That's not integration. So that's the level that we are going. Yes, there are many different softwares that do not have open APIs and we are not able to connect to them. And we're still figuring our ways out. There are ways, without divulging a lot of information, there are different software ways that we are building and automating to see how we can do deeper integrations with some of our customers. The goal is to eventually get our customer on our entire suite at some point, but we understand it can be a little too much for someone, and so we are okay with our customers starting with a specific module and then liking that enough that, hey, let's expand, let's do everything on this. But yeah, we integrate seamlessly to as soft as we can, and the ones that we cannot, we are figuring out ways on how to do that.
Yeah, it's such a great point. I think, especially with AI, it is so important to consider software that is an ecosystem, right? That is not closed off, that talks to each other. You mentioned streamlining the whole business for a customer. So let's dive deep into some of these different modules that you offer and some of the features that, so if I'm a modular, or say I'm a stick built, like where do customers typically get started? What's the easiest way to get started?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Typically, whole my process usually looks like I am talking to my customer. I try and understand what's the current landscape looking like. It's pretty much discovery planning, right? What's going on? What's the workflows? What are the pain points? What are you trying to achieve? In some cases, it's pricing. In some cases, it's real software problems, right? Like not being able to keep up with it. And as I said, I will review what the current software system is, what are the data structure looks like. To be honest, like very clear KPI helps us to understand what's the definition of success if you were going to migrate. Once we have done that, we also try and understand what are they sticking with, that they absolutely cannot move out of because of contractual agreements, or maybe they like it enough. And then we figure out what modules will make sense and how will that, for example, if you have an Autodesk BIM modeling software, how will data then flow from BIM modeling to us? And these are the modules that you can sit with. So we'll agree upon that. And then we have a seamless implementation process on, as I said, we'll figure out and agree upon what those modules will look like. And then training, adoption, going live, and then keep optimizing is something that we don't just leave you once the software is done and we done and leave. That's not what our methodology or philosophy is. We stick with our customers for as long as we can. Our issue resolution times is as low as actually within 30 minutes. It's been that fast. And of course, we'll scale as we go. From a module standpoint, we start with a small sales CRM module, and you might already be using a CRM module, which is totally fine. We'll connect with it. But we want our users to get visibility of what's in prospecting right now, what's actually need to be estimated. From there, you get into a project estimating module, which is fully hands-free, Copilot based. If I was an estimator, I can literally interact with my assistant and build an estimate in an hour or a few hours versus 2 to 3 days where you're literally looking for past cost. Okay, what was the labor? What did past estimate look like? All of that is gone. Once you do that, you move and you literally go preview it, publish it, get approved. Once that approved, you convert that to a project live within one click within the project. The workflow is defined. That's part of the setup process. And based on the start and end date, we will run an algorithm and figure out, because we have our own inventory management system, will know what you have in inventory, what you don't, what you need to order. So you have a full-blown procurement bidding system. You literally bid to multiple suppliers. Again, your suppliers do not need to be on our platform. They'll get a magic link. They can quote, they can chat with you. You come in, you invite them for bids, you approve their bids, one click, your purchase order is created. We have AI agents, by the way, doing purchasing. Shh, don't tell anyone. We are building super cool AI agents that will reduce your manual inputs like significant amount of time. And then from there, entire on-site, off-site operations, we have an iPad app, an iPhone app, live. As I said, DT, you're able to see what's coming, what's next. Why is a station blocked? Say, for example, if a QA/QC is blocked, why was it blocked? Did the crane not arrive on time? What happened? Things like that. And then eventually a financial and accounting layer, which includes bookkeeping and payments and creating your income statements and all of that. That gives you visibility of what's happening with your budget live, but also overall, as at a company level, what's going on with your financial statements. So these are the different modules and how a project would flow and what the life cycle looks like.
Wow, this sounds like it really gives a construction company a really good view of their operations. And I imagine they can make a lot better decisions given the depth of the information that you're providing, and it probably avoids a lot of costly mistakes, delays. So I'd love to hear, do you have any stories from your customers that have implemented your ERP
Yeah.
that have experienced this?
Yeah, I think I would start with being able to provide the co-pilot that comes with our product has reduced our adoption time significantly, right? If you have worked with, say, the complex ERPs of the world, it takes you some time to remember which menu you had to freaking go to figure out where that purchase order sits, right? You don't need to do that. You don't need to be, and first of all, the UI should be simple enough for you to not even go through that hassle. Secondly, so that's our mantra, we have tailored the iPad apps to the user personas because I believe that the people who are working on site have the most friction in adopting software because they have better things to take care of, right? Software is something that it's just pretty much tracking what they're doing. And so what we have done is we have kept that very focused on what your user persona looks like. Meaning if I'm an inspector, I don't need to see 10 tiles on my iPad to figure out which one I need to use. If I am a material handler, I only need to see what's coming in today, what's going on today, what am I short on, and that's it. So I think that really has helped in the adoption process. You can literally ask questions and in a very interactive way have an assistant take care of it. One thing that we have seen is being able to, I think, estimating, reducing that time taken in estimating because we have your historical costs and we are able to tell you in a very interactive way what is your average pricing, for example, the SIP panels that you have today. You are able to build and estimate so much faster. See, even if you were at a customer site and you want to see, hey, what would X by Z square foot area of a one man sleeper cost, and I will be able to, using that copilot, being able to throw that number with a pretty good accuracy. It's probably not the most accurate, but within minutes, that's powerful. That's something that our customers love about us. Being able to track the project live, it's there always be some kind of supply chain breakdown in some place, always. But being able to track that, proactively address that is something that our customers are looking for. And that you can do. And then again, as I said, like change control management. Say if you changed, I think this is the most, by far, the most powerful feature that we are working on, which is if something changed and you are able to remember, because I told you, because my system tells you that, hey, by the way, you had a change control happen exactly at this truss or panel or whatever last time. So you better take a look at it. I think that's so much powerful because now you don't need to remember that. You're not repeating that mistake, that expensive mistake you did in the last project.
Absolutely. So you obviously doubled down on AI. So I'm curious, what's your vision for the future of construction industry as it relates to AI? Where do you see this going?
A lot. We are ourselves building a lot of machine learning enhancements, self improving algorithms, right? Learning from each project, a very timely predictions of what projects are looking like, pattern recognition. I'm throwing a lot of jargons there, but pattern recognition is huge for quality control, safety. You come from Anugo. I was telling John, I'm sure everyone knows John from Anugo. He was talking about AI when no one was talking about it. I still remember watching his podcast. I'm really privileged to be talking about AI with someone who belongs to a company that has been talking about this for years before this even became a thing, right? And so I would say, as I said, like the power is immense. NLPs, natural language processing improvements, is already ongoing. There's so much things that can be done. Without divulging again on what can be done, I would say that being able to real time analyze your project, right? And having our AI engine only get better with time based by taking insights from past projects such as schedule variances, cost overruns, resource utilization, right? For example, when the clients identified and prevented a potential delay because our procurement module is talking to operations module and inventory module, and we know your project cannot start on time because you don't have this and it's a 4 week lead time for steel. So things like that, right? That's powerful for a company, for a home builder. But from an AI standpoint, as I said, like these things that we are looking at, being able to take inputs from a human in a human language and being able to convert that to a process flow, it's going to be the superpower of Merlin in the days to come.
So you touched a little bit about on pricing and implementation, that it is significantly different from traditional ERPs out there. So can you give us a little bit more of what our users can expect from that?
Yeah, I think one thing that I myself was not happy about when I used to deal with most of the enterprise softwares is I think there are many different things that everyone is trying traditionally, right? They'll often charge per user, per seat, per hour, percentage of your project. And so what I think irks most of our customers is hidden costs. Tell me upfront how much you cost, and don't tell me that you're gonna change your cost suddenly when I am growing. That's something that I didn't as a company didn't even plan for, and suddenly you are throwing that on my way. So I think that's something that we have uniquely kept differentiated ourselves from. You get you what you pay for. So it's all one pricing. We are not changing our pricing because you went from 10 to 30 users, or because your project became a 10 million from a 8 million. No, we are not going to do that. That's not what our philosophy is. Also, traditionally, ERPs will charge you a bunch of upfront setup costs, maintenance fees, engage a consultant, all of that goes away. It's just out of the window. We give you a base package. This is what you're going to run with. Yes, we will personalize it for you for when you start it, and then there is a cap on how much personalization is required. And say if you double your revenue and you suddenly became a 500 from 100 users, we can go back and negotiate on what that would look like. But we are flat pricing. This is what you pay every month. We don't believe in 100-year contracts and grandfather viewing, and we'll never do that. We want you to see value out of this. And trust me, like I am not another tech bro trying to sell you a tech software or Texas or whatever you call them. I come from the industry. I know the domain, and the passion is personal. The passion is I wish I had this when I was running a project, and I wish I could do my project so much better for the companies I work for.
Yeah. Tell me who is the ideal customer for this. So if I'm listening, maybe I'm not prefab, I'm not manufactured
Yep.
home. Who do you envision? Like, how many homes do I build a year? Am I assume custom versus
Yep.
production builder? Walk me through like your ideal customer. Who is that?
So we started, as I said, with prefab modular manufactured homes. We are definitely trying to get into, we definitely want to get to the SIG build, so the GC side of things. So we have home builders already. We want to get into the GC side. So we are working with some general contractors right now. Home build, number of homes, oh, as many, from 10 homes to 500 homes a year. Doesn't matter. Everything sits on our platform. It's just that the scale changes and everything is cloud-based. Your data is secure. You don't have to worry about anything. I would say that if you're a $5 million or lesser in revenue and you feel you get by with Excel, fine. You should, I always say that figure out what your pain point is. And if you feel your days are getting by okay with Excel, more power to you, go ahead, do that. But as you grow, $10 million up, more sites, more projects, you are in a growth mindset. We are in a growth mindset. We are a perfect fit for you. From a role standpoint, we'll definitely, as I said, GCs, home builders, it doesn't matter, residential, commercial, we're going after. And of course, size, it doesn't matter. Again, whatever, how many homes you're building or how big your projects are, we are here for you. We'll make it happen for you.
Great. So in the beginning, when we're talking, you mentioned the idea of having a digital twin.
Mhm.
So talk to me about the significance of that, and do you think the importance of having digital twins in the future? Because right now I think we see that with like NASA obviously has digital twins.
Oh,
They're building rockets. They have to predict what's going to happen with that on the ground, and maybe larger commercial buildings implement digital twins, but we don't see that so much in residential new construction. And I think part of that is cost. So I'm curious with how does that generate the digital twin and how is it being used?
true. And for us, I would say that we are just scratching the surface right now when it comes to DT. I have implemented some of the DTs in the past with some bigger companies. And as I said, we are just getting started. Um, this will be the norm, and this is something that everyone will be employing at some point. I think the big one, the billion-dollar companies are already doing. What we are doing is giving you a control room of what your operations look like. And that doesn't have to be a factory shop floor. It can be your on-site operations, but you should be able to behind sitting, like if you are a VP ops or if you're a CEO, you should literally be able to see live what's going on, what's your physical footprint translated to, and then eventually that converting to dollars. Today, if you don't have a concept like that, and by the way, this doesn't have to be expensive. Yes, when you start getting into hardware and IoTs and sensors like that, definitely is a more expensive affair. But the value that you get it, because it's a one-time install done and then you keep maintaining it, the value that you get from the data that we are building. Let's face it, data is going to be the king. Our AI is as good as the data that we feed it, right? And so we are as healthy as the food we eat. It's just exactly what AI is about. So capturing that data and navigating all the different functionalities and being able to give you that picture, and as I said, the control room, I call it a control room, you being able to sit down and see exactly what's going on site, what's blocked, what's your end on, what do you need to raise hands for, and you being able to see that live. I think that's super powerful. That's something that our customers love. We have kept it at a very minimal cost because we are not involving a lot of hardwares, but eventually we should be able to give this capability to every single home builder. It doesn't matter what kind of building you are in, what kind of trade you are in, being able to see that live is super powerful. And you are able to do that for your factory and on site right now on our platform, because we design it upfront. And then using our iPads and apps, you are able to talk back and forth and visualize that data. And that data then translates into financials.
Yeah, that's really fascinating for me. I think that's going to be definitely the future where we're moving to. So I'm happy to see that you've thought through that already. So any other features that you can tease us that are maybe coming soon or you're thinking about implementing
Yeah.
eventually?
Oh, yeah. As I said, we are definitely looking into pattern recognition and then using NLPs. Something very cool that we are trying is, say today for you to do customizations, you will probably pick up the phone, call a consultant, and then they try to figure out a change in your current ERP system, right? Our goal is you shouldn't need to do that in future. So it's an alpha right now. We are trying it out where we take inputs in natural language and be able to convert that into a functional process change in the system, workflow change in the system on the fly. It'll take us some more experiments to make sure that it's accurate enough. But that's something that I am super excited about. I am super hopeful about on how that will change the way enterprise softwares work today, not just for construction in general, for the overall industry, but the possibilities are endless. I can only say that there's so much going on. Every week, there is something new that we are experimenting. So more to come.
Very exciting. So as we wrap today's podcast, is there anything that I did not ask you or anything we talked about that you'd like to reiterate for our listeners today?
I would say we pretty much covered for the most part everything, but I do want to highlight that when you are identify, like to my users, identify a specific challenge you want to address. AI can add immense value. I would really encourage people to not fear it, to just know that it's not a matter of if, and you will not have a choice for long. You will have to hop on this journey, and the sooner you will, the more innovative your company is going to get. It's also important that you approach this with a clear focus, right? Are you trying to optimize your project timelines or cost management or enhancing procurement? Whatever, define your goals. Start small. Take the small step. You don't have to overhaul everything. That's what I'm trying to say at once. Start with a pain point, automate that manual project process, see for yourself, like improving, for example, real-time reporting, and then expanding AI's use across the other areas of team will help you build confidence and actually get you excited about using that in your how powerful it gets as you grow. So as you grow, your team grows. It's just an exciting journey to be a part of. And you being able to embrace this, it's an investment for innovation, for efficiency and profitability, but also to attract the Gen Zs and the newer talent to our world. They are no more just excited about going out there and probably building on site. I think them being able to keep up and be upbeat with something as innovative as this AI can get, I think it's only a matter of time of how innovative you can get as a company and your employees can get as a company and how much you can unlock in building a scalable and profitable business.
Yeah, I can imagine it can get pretty addicting to see how you can optimize your business, how you can do more with less, and really streamline the whole process. So, thank you so much for being on today's podcast. Now, if our listeners want to find out more, where can they learn more? Is there a website? If they want to connect with
Absolutely.
you personally, do you hang out on social somewhere? So, plug away.
Connect with us on LinkedIn, Instagram. We have our website. You can totally go ahead, schedule time with me. I'm happy to chat with you, even if you just want to learn about the system and just spend 15-30 minutes with me. And we are on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. Drop me a text, a message. I would be happy to chat with you. It doesn't always, I'm not here just selling the things that I am here representing. I'm also here to learn more about you, to learn more about your problems. It only helps me grow my product and mature in this process as well. So please find me, please connect with me, please drop me a message. I promise I get back to almost everyone.
And I will be sure to link all that information in the show notes so you guys can easily find that. Well, Sneha, thank you so much for being on today's show. As always, you are so full of information on the topic that I'm not as knowledgeable on. So I've learned a lot. I can definitely say that. And thank you so much for really, you're turning the whole industry upside down with your approach. And I'm excited to see where you go with that. And cheers to a future collaboration between us.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for having me again, Anya. It's always a pleasure being here. And I am excited about opportunities, not just with us, with Anugo, how we can collaborate. We already have ideas. So, yeah.
I'm sure we'll have you on the podcast again at some point. Until then, see ya.
Yeah. Bye.